Yeah, big talking brewskis. Marissa Smith is who you see. Water cooler combo in here. Crack a cold one, we're on the air. Big talking brewskis. Marissa Smith is who you see. Water cooler combo in here. Crack a cold one, we're on the air. Kicking back, having a few beers, we're chatting. Pull up your chair, we're all relaxing. Any subject, we never dismiss. Big talking brewskis with Marissa Smith. Comedy, sex, relationships, more. Any subject, we got it in store. Big talking brewskis is coming in live. Crack when open, Marissa has arrived. Big talking brewskis with Marissa Smith.
Hey guys, this is Big Talking Brewskis. I'm Marissa Smith. I've got Rodna Daniels with me.
What's up, guys? It's Big Talking Brewskis time.
I've got Gina Savage with me.
Hello, everybody. Good to be here.
Rhonda Hanson.
I'm black, y'all.
Wallet Collins.
I'm trying to get my voice as deep as Gina's.
Just smoke a few more cigarettes.
Oh, I just want to give a shout. I want to give a shout out to that theme song. I was like, this is a big production
Wasn't
right
it
here.
great?
I'm very impressed with that. By the way.
Big
Wow.
talking brewski.
Yeah. Dropped your name in there a couple of times. Very impressive.
Thank you, Wallet. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Rodney, how was your week?
My week was good. I was just, working, and I did a show with you Friday night, and I hosted at Broadway Comedy Clubs, and I was, nice, doing my thing, and other than that, that's it. 9 to 5, grinding. You know how it is.
I hear ya. How was your week, Gina?
My week isn't. It's first of all, it's never not insane anymore. It's not insane. I mean, those of you who know or don't know, I'm at West Side Comedy Club now, booking and GMing the shit out of that, and it's been crazy. It's been a great run so far. So yeah, I mean,
And it's an awesome club, yeah.
Thank you so much. You were there.
Yeah.
I know on a for the Betty's show that we
Kevin
were doing.
Bacon was there and Kira Cedric was there that night.
I know, right?
Yeah, it was crazy.
We've
Hey,
had-
I was there on that night too.
yeah.
I really was. I wasn't making a joke. I was being serious.
I mean, it's like a really
Wally's a Betty.
Big Betty, you. Yeah. So no, it's been going well, and it's busy. I hate to like plug shit early, but we have the vagina monologues coming up, and I'm in that too, along
No,
with
that's
Qualified
awesome.
cast.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Vanessa Hollingshead, Vicky Cooperman, Nikki Sunshine, Stacey Pressman, and I got like a few lines, so it's insane.
Yeah, no.
been busy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be an
That's
awesome show.
Thank you.
So, Rhonda, how was your week?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
I went to see Farinelli and the King.
Oh, how was that?
Oh, unbelievable. I love Mark Rylance, and he did not disappoint.
Yeah.
It was a great production. Yeah, I was good. I had my fix. Had my Broadway fix. So, I'm also a theater director.
Oh, no, I didn't know
wow.
that.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I actually saw my name in the program at Dixon Place for coming up in October. I'm directing a one-woman show that is going to delve into Sandra Bland and other black women who have been held in captivity by our authorities.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was
Yeah.
a good week. It was confirmed that I'm on board for directing that production at Dixon
Congratulations,
Place,
yeah.
and I saw Mark Rylance, so I'm a happy camper.
Yeah,
Nice.
you're killing it.
You say you saw your name in the book like as if you didn't know. and that's
Well,
when you found out.
we were actually in negotion.
Yeah.
Because
And so confirmation was when you saw your name in print.
well, I said, well, I guess it's going to happen.
Wow. Wow, that's kind of cool.
But Dixon Place is like a tremendous institution on the
Mm-hmm.
Lower East Side.
Yeah.
They support new works by artists, and they have been supportive of me over decades.
that's cool.
So to be there in their new place with this fabulous
Yeah,
theater,
yeah.
Oh, they moved?
Oh my God, on Christie, they are on Christie, and they have a fabulous theater. And I just saw it this weekend. I'm saying, I want to work in this.
Because
wanna
I've been
do
to
this.
the old space with like the bar in the front, and then
Yeah.
they have the theater in the back, but I
Yeah.
haven't been to the new space
I was
yet.
at the old space where Ellie actually slept in the room. I've been through several different locations, and I also do the Moth. I do the Mosquito with Nancy Giles in the lounge.
Oh, yeah.
Nancy Giles started doing the Mosquito because they didn't have her on the Moth, and,
Okay.
and it's a great storytelling show down there, a
Right.
monthly show that she has,
Yeah.
besides being a great pundit and voiceover artist.
Wow.
But yeah, so anytime you can get over there to Dixon Place, you will really, really enjoy it. You will really enjoy
Yeah,
it,
'cause
either
I-
in the lounge or the theater.
Because I've done the Women of the Arts Salon or something like that,
Yeah.
like in the lounge, and that was always like fun. And I did their show after the Women's March last year, and it's just like it's always just been a really great space, you know. But like
Tremendous vibe, supporting creativity, and very progressive.
yeah, definitely.
Hmm
So Wally, how
Yes.
was your week, Wally?
Oh, I took a shower.
This guy.
Actually, it's been good. I'm actually working on my show. It's called the Wally Collins Comedy Cup. It's a competition that we do. It's a lot of fun. It's like kind of like a mock competition. I'm the host and judge, and scores are just I score anything, and what my mood says. We had our anniversary show, and the score was 158,000, 154,000. So
I've been to that show.
Oh, that's
so-
right.
I've
So
seen
we-
that in action.
Yeah, we get four
Yeah.
headlining comedians, and we give them topics, and they get up there and do their things. And after each round, I give a score, and then we decide. We tally up the scores, and that's it. It's a lot of fun. So I've been busy working on getting sponsors and promoting it, and now we're shopping it for television. It was
Oh,
designed
awesome.
for TV too, anyway. So,
Yeah.
but we're shopping for TV now. So
No, that's awesome.
yeah.
What's been like some of like the most fun moments of that show?
Wow. When the audience gets really upset with the scores and they start yelling out, no, too low. Oh, that's too high. When the comics kind of like pit each other against each other,
Each
like
other, yeah,
they kind of like tease each
Trying to
other.
roast.
Yeah. Well, they don't. It's not a roasting kind of thing. It's more of they get up there. I give them a topic, and they get up there and they do the 5 minutes on pretty much each topic, and the comics will kind of like almost like encourage and say like oh, that was pretty funny, or kind of like get the comedian to talk more about it, or whatever.
Right.
I'm not into the whole roasting thing. To be honest with you.
I'm
First of
so
all,
glad you said that.
yeah, there's too many shows like that anyway, and it's just a lot more fun. And the audience gets into too, because what I do, I have a menu of topics, and I go into the audience, and they pick from the menu, and I pick the comedian.
Right.
And so the audience is involved too, and so it's like this big, like we're all in one big living room, and I keep saying it's a lot of fun because Gina was there. It's just a whole lot
Yeah,
of fun.
I knew something was crazy when you gave like somebody like 5,000
Yeah.
points. I'm like, wait, what? What is the? I don't even understand. But you mentioned the thing about roasting, and I'm so glad you're not doing a show like that
Yeah.
because there are. I mean, maybe this is a topic that's not on the topic, but
But
like
no, we can
Yeah,
talk
no,
about
we
but-
anything.
can talk about
but-
anything.
there are so many shows where they roast.
Yeah.
I'm like, who are you even roasting? Like,
Yeah.
I have a thing with that. Like, I don't even know you. Why are
Right.
you roasting this person?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Because
And-
you used to be that guy's girlfriend, or this one's.
The
or,
whole
like,
idea
I don't
of
even know.
that-
Like, what is
Yeah.
the deal? I
It
don't
used to
understand
be
it.
that it was someone who had a very high stature,
Right.
someone who was very, very popular and well known, who was
And
who-
well liked.
and well
Yeah.
liked, and was then made fun of,
Right.
and sometimes it could get a little scatological or
Right.
pointed, but now it to me. Doing it to appear just seems mean to me,
Yeah.
especially if you know that their mother
Yeah, it's
licks cans at
I've
night.
seen. Yeah.
It's so random and hilarious.
Yeah.
Just sitting there like, I can't.
Your
do
mother's a
that.
can liquor.
From way back.
Yeah, it gets almost like awkward and embarrassing because some of them get cut a little bit too deep and like almost unnecessarily with some
Yeah.
of those roasts, and it's just like, but it's our show is almost, I don't want to say it's the opposite, but it's not. It doesn't even go there. It's
That's
just
so great.
it's just
Yeah.
so much fun.
It's
and
uplifting.
Yeah, it's uplifting, right? And I mean, I don't want to say like a spiritual kind of thing, like
Oh, the
you know?
spirit came to you.
No, but it's just comics who are having a good time, and we're just having fun, and we're doing our just doing our thing,
Yeah.
and that's why the scores are so ridiculous, because I'm not going to judge them on the material or what they say or you do whatever. It's just
Yeah.
whatever mood it's so.
No, that's
That's
awesome.
pure fun.
Yeah. So, Wally, do you
Yes.
feel like you can separate an artist from things that they've done? Like, if an artist has been accused of doing like a felony, or we're in the middle of this like Me Too movement, and there's so many artists and producers and people in Hollywood that have been accused of sexual assault. Like, can you separate the person from their art?
It took a lot of work, and Cosby was the one that made me really, really, really challenge myself. It took a lot of work to separate that, to say the craft itself. I look at it. He's a carpenter. He makes really good,
Cabinets?
cabinets or tables, right? So it's like his quality is really good. I mean, he was one of the comics that
And
I
there's
emulated.
Quaaludes in those cabinets.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, you got to open the cabinets. But it's like I said, it took a lot of work, and I'm still working on it. That I have to separate the art, the craft, from the personal life. We all have skeletons in our closets. Sometimes those skeletons get revealed, and
If you know Quincy Jones, they do.
Oh, we had to hit that.
that's
in
a
a
whole
minute.
nother yeah.
Yeah,
So
well,
salty.
Yes. But it is, like I said, it takes a lot. I'm still working on it, but it takes a lot of work to do that, because it's almost like saying that someone who contributed to society, and so to speak, I'll use Cosby. He contributed to the black community in such a positive way, and we're all like, yay! And then it's like, whoa! So do we take all that away and say that those strides that he made don't count anymore? You know what I mean? So that's it's really hard it's really tough to do, but I'm working on it, and I say I'm leaning more towards yes, I can. So there you go.
Well, I have an interesting spin on this in the sense that, like historically now, that they want to take statues down,
Yeah.
and they want to do, you would have to rip apart the dawn of man at this point,
Mhm.
with what we're taking away. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that people don't deserve to, if something happens that
Right.
that's actionable,
Right.
that type of thing. But we can go back to the Roman era, or
yeah.
it's just all of history.
Right.
Everything we think we know would
Right.
have to be eradicated
Yeah.
for the crimes of centuries ago.
Right,
So
right.
I mean, it's like, how far back are we going to go? Getting to your point, like the Woody Allen thing, let's say, right? When I watch a Woody Allen film, does that take away? Well, I personally can watch a film and say this is a great piece of art, and I can look at a painting and say this is a great piece of art. Same thing with comedy, and then still know what I know,
Yeah.
but it doesn't. You can't undo the beauty of what something is. I think you can feel a sense of loss because it's tainted with this other thing now, but it's still, I can sort of still separate that.
Yeah, I think it's like, do we take away those things? It's almost like everything that is, so to speak, great and grand that we hold up high. Someone can find a piece of dirt about that person, and so now do we take that all away and say, did it contribute to society to make it a better place to live? Did it make it a more comfortable place to strive or to move forward? So it's like that tough decision. Do you say, all right, you did something bad in your past, all right, boom, take it all away? But then it takes away all those accomplishments that a person did, and we appreciated that, And so, can you say take backsies on that?
Rhonda,
As far
what
as
do you-
Cosby
Yeah.
specifically, though, like that whole situation, like you got to look at like Raven Simone and Keisha Knight Pulliam. These people are not getting checks anymore because of the show not being on TV.
Yeah.
Like it's been in syndication for years, and like it was.
It's
in
back on
syndication.
now.
It's back on now. Well,
But to your point, about separating the artist from his art. Well, I do have to say, Leni Riefenstahl, she really made her contribution to society.
Who?
The woman
Who's this?
who created Hitler's massive campaigns, his visual campaigns were works of art,
Oh, I didn't know
and they
this.
help bring
You're
him.
way too smart.
Yeah, really. Like, I was
And
like,
this
what?
is why we book
we
her.
were like,
Wait,
what?
so wait,
Yeah.
wait, please
So go
school
ahead.
us, Ron.
I know, right? Go, Rhonda.
Call in. Can people call in?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
can.
call in if you
number.
have something good to say about Leni Riefenstahl, because she was a woman filmmaker. She was highly respected, and her work is amazing, and it did its job.
Right.
It did its job.
What,
Yeah.
promoting Nazis? Is that what it
Yes.
was?
But see-
okay, right,
but then-
exactly right.
But it goes on and on and on. Like Hugo
Right.
Boss did the
So if
made.
people want to call in, they can call in
Oh.
at 347-557-8185. Again, that's 347-557-8185.
And that's it goes on and on. Like Hugo Boss, they made the Nazi uniforms. So do you take those away? Mercedes Benz.
Yeah, Mercedes.
Yeah.
BMW.
Ford. The I want to say Tom Ford, the other Ford, the car guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Henry
He
Ford.
was a Nazi. So do you take all these? I'm saying. So do you?
Johnson and Johnson owned slaves like that. Like that's like.
Well, Randy, I'm so glad, Rodney, that you brought this up, because there are so many companies that exist now and who probably recently got a tax cut from 45, a gift, who had the beginnings of their foundation in slavery, in the slave trade, in us as commodities and currency.
Right.
Yeah.
And and I understand what you're saying, Gina, that we could go back. Yes, we could go back, but what I think is important now is having the discussion. We got to have the discussion now, instead of like turning a blind eye, and because nothing will get changed without the conversation.
Right,
We've got to have the conversation and take some action. And
The conversation is unavoidable, I think, at this point, which is good. At the same time, there are things that are actionable, and then there are things that are just, they're just folly for Twitter and things like that. Do you know what I mean?
And,
Like,
and
there's
I'm
just,
for
like-
the actionable movement. I'm for the actionable
Right.
things. I'm for the things that can be done, that can be justified, and that people can see this is necessary at this time. Like, it is absolutely necessary to start listening to women when they say, I took a punch to the face. It's,
Right.
and that conversation has never been as widespread and as prevalent as it is now. I mean, when our Supreme Court justice was being questioned about his treatment of what's the black woman who was vilified when she brought harassment charges against
Thomas?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
Angela. I want to say it's not Angela. What's her name?
No, it's
Oh my goodness.
Nobody came to her help.
No, yeah, that's true.
Nobody,
That's true.
nobody from no white women. Nobody was marching. Well, nobody was marching for her, and all she was left with was talking about pubic hair on a Coke can,
Right.
all by her lonesome.
Right.
Kerry Washington just played her on television.
Yeah. Geez, hold on a second. Hold on.
Yeah, you're gonna have to
Yeah,
Google it.
All right,
What's
when
it-
you call, could you Google it home and call in with the
Yeah.
name of this woman
doing
that
it
I'm
right now.
talking about, ladies and
It's
gentlemen?
killing me.
Trying to tip my
Like we-
tongue. All right.
No, but I agree to an extent that we would have to go so far back in history. But I also feel like if we want to evolve as a society, then I think that we need to kind of say, like, all of these people have an asterisk. Like, personally, I don't watch Woody Allen. You brought up Woody Allen as an example. But, like, I've found Woody Allen problematic, like, on so many levels. Like, I mean, just one, he's married to his daughter. Like, that is problematic. And then aside from the fact, like, just being, like, a person of color, like, he doesn't ever have any people of color in any of his movies.
I'm
and they're
with you
all
on that.
based
Except
in
the
New
only
York.
one he did have was a prostitute.
Well, of course,
Yeah.
like, because that's all we do is,
Yeah.
fuck for money and sell drugs. But, like, that's
Really?
just like, oh, yeah, nobody told you didn't go to the meeting.
Oh, I missed that one. I was late.
Always on CC time. Okay.
Oh,
It's like-
by the way, Anita Hill.
Anita Hill, yes.
Yeah, God, I can't
Justice
believe
Thomas,
it.
yeah,
Bing,
it's
bing,
real.
bing,
What, 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Right, so that's the only reason we don't remember, right?
Yeah.
But see, that's what I'm saying. It's like when so like to your point, Gina, it's like, so when do we start? Like, okay, we're talking about the Ford. He he was a Nazi, so we do take away all Ford cars. So when do you separate to say that the work of this particular person to benefit man to say to society, so to speak,
Well-
and then
Well,
say,
this is where I agree with Marissa, and to everyone's point, like this is where I agree. Like, okay, so like I can still say, I'll watch a Woody Allen movie because I'm Jewish and I'm white. Okay, that's and I relate to the neuroses and I can separate the whatever. Do I understand what you're saying? Absolutely. Do I hope that the dialogue and the industry changes? Absolutely. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I find that something hilarious
Right.
from that. So, so it's just about raising the awareness and consciousness, which I think is probably the biggest part of this whole dialogue. Is just making it like Rhonda, like what you just said, like having that dialogue open up to that extent.
Would you still watch Bill Cosby, like the Cosby Show?
To be honest, like, I mean, when I was a kid, I watched Cosby, but like, I really kind of got off of the Cosby bandwagon when he was just like all about like, oh, well, you know what the black people need to do, like, it's just like, granted, we have the same skin tone, but once you start making a certain amount of money, you're in the green stratosphere and you don't have color anymore. Like, I just feel like once anyone reaches a certain amount of achievement, then they really can't speak to anyone that's outside of their like socioeconomic class. Like, so I feel like he can't, if he was a billionaire white person saying like, oh, well, you know what's wrong with people only making $35,000 a year? You're all fucking lazy. Get off your asses and invent something. We'd all be like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, but it's like at the same time, it's like, granted, I'm not saying he's not talented, and I'm not saying that he opened doors, but he was given those opportunities to open those doors, and I don't think that there were other black performers that weren't as talented as he was at that time. He was just more palatable to the people in power at that time that gave him that opportunity. And I think because he was kind of disseminating a message that, oh, you know something, I'm one of the good ones. These people have problems. Like, look at me, I'm not doing that. And he spoke to something that they wanted to hear. And I think that he rode that wave to the top. And then he was just kind of very condescending to everyone that didn't have those opportunities. But at the same time, I don't necessarily, like, he had the Cosby Show, but like, and he's very active in like Temple University, but I don't know how grassroots was he in actually trying to help others like have other opportunities themselves.
He was a great philanthropist. He and his wife contributed money to so many causes, millions and millions of dollars. But what I think is it's very good to be a philanthropist when you are drugging people and assaulting them.
Especially if you're getting a tax break.
But
that's okay.
Make them look the other way.
But then there's a double standard. So then he goes, okay, so here's this guy doing this, and so okay, now we're all saying, okay, we don't want to watch him anymore. To take his shows off the air, whatever. But now all that philanthropy that he's done and all that money, do we give that money back?
No.
No.
Keep that damn money.
So then okay.
In fact, Bill, you can write me a check right now, darling.
So okay, so what he
I will
contributes.
take that shit to the bank.
So what he contributes financially, you take, but what he contributes to you, so to speak, morally, like I'm saying on the surface, morally, you don't want.
I don't want him assaulting people, but I know Bill Cosby has had many shows on television.
Right.
He started early. His career has spanned decades.
Right.
And there is no denying his contribution just to television and also to
But even Fat
to-
Albert is problematic. Like, Fat
Yeah,
Albert
I mean,
is
if
problematic.
you break
I
it
just
down
felt
right.
like doing that too. Hey.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like okay, so he, like you're saying, contribution. So contributing to the world with through television and media, and then contributing through philanthropy. So you're saying we don't want to see that the stuff that he contributed through media, but we're going to take the money.
Oh,
back.
I didn't say I didn't want to see it.
No, but I'm saying it's like something like people are saying that he shouldn't be on TV, so they got rid of him, blah blah blah. But he also, and he was I Spy, goes on and on and on, those different shows, Kincaid and all that. So they're saying we're taking that all off, but he contributed all this money, but we're gonna keep that.
Yeah.
But okay, but I'm saying it's like, so then it's like I feel it's like a double standard because he
Yes,
can,
it is, but this is America, and we were built on the double standard. We said all men are created equal, except these people and a couple of women.
So then
You
we
know,
decide. So
America is based on the double standard.
So where do you decide where the double standard starts and stops?
Oh, that's not for me to decide. I just have to be in a position to profit from it.
Ooh, wait.
As
So you basically
as
stand
we
up,
all,
you just
as we
stand
all.
under that right umbrella or stay right under that. I got you.
Right. But she's
Under that
not
right
drugging
trapdoor.
women and giving them quaaludes and raping.
But no,
Like-
I'm saying I'm saying yes. Okay, that's a fact. You know that he did those things. But I'm saying is that when you are contributing, and I think that's a great word, contributing. You are contributing to society, saying, and so to speak, and I'm putting in quotes, in the positive way. When he did Cosby Show and all that, it was black folks in a positive light. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm saying all that.
When he did I Spy, it was black folks playing tennis.
Yeah, okay. So all those things. All right. So it was, and so we all took that, right? And then when he started making money, he was contributing financially. So now people find out things about his past or whatever, and like, oh no, we can't have that. So you strike all that stuff that he did, on TV, but still keep his money from that what he contributed. So like I'm saying, it's that double standard. So where does that start and where does that end for anybody?
Where does it start and where does it end? What about, remember that Sandusky shit? That
Yeah.
was awful
That's
shit.
disgusting.
That's disgusting
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
That was like topple those statues down.
Yeah.
Right? But how many championships did that guy? I mean, I'm not trying to.
Right.
Exactly.
But like, and they struck all that, right?
Yeah.
All those championships were gone.
Yeah.
Because of that man's. I mean, it's a sad. I mean, to say it's a sad state of affairs
Right.
is just like too.
It's an understatement.
It's beyond an understatement. It's just, but again, how far back is the question?
Exactly.
It's just.
I think that's like, I don't know if it's rhetorical, but I think that's the question we should be asking all of ourselves is that where does it start and where do we start doing this and where does it stop doing this? Because if you can go back even to George Washington, he owned slaves. So,
Right.
My
He's got an asterisk.
yeah.
Did he really cut down the cherry tree?
No.
No. My feeling is it's not.
I'm just trying to lighten the mood. Jesus Christ. Cherry tree. I don't even know what it was.
It's too deep now.
Isn't it?
But he did
So
have
it's so
teeth
deep.
That's how
from
I was as a
slaves,
kid.
yeah.
Can we? Yeah.
All I
let's-
gotta say is
yeah.
free Johnson & Johnson for black people.
What?
You talked about Johnson & Johnson.
You
But
did.
Owning
weren't they the
slaves.
Q-tip
yeah.
people? Come
Yeah.
on, we need
Oh,
those.
shoot, that's true.
Yeah, and oh my
Where
God.
does it end?
It goes on and on. And then
Wally,
You need a
you're
Q-tip.
bringing up an important question,
Yeah.
but my idea is not at the moment. It's not going backwards. It's like from here forward. It's from what are we doing from this moment? Like when 45 talks about what a good man Rob Porter was and never ever mentions the multiple women who suffered at his hand, the multiple women who had to take his abuse. That's where
Well, even Steve Bannon. I mean, he's
Yes.
surrounded by like wife beaters, and like they just had.
she's not talking about the undershirt, folks.
No.
that took me a second.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
I was like, yeah, no. I'm talking about the disgusting people that he surrounds himself by, and then we just had this week, I believe, one of his
Speechwriters.
One of his speechwriters also beat his wife, but then one of his campaign managers in Kentucky was just charged with sex trafficking children
Pedophilia,
and pedophilia this week. Like this
Yes.
week.
So that's why I'm not so interested in going back and taking things away. What's happening right now? How are we reacting to what's going on right
Gina,
now?
hop in there.
I have a point in that. Look, all I know is that this is alleged, right? This is allegedly things that have happened, right?
Oh, okay.
Do we have fact that this actually happened? Do we have fact, or is it just right now? I don't, because I haven't read. So forgive me for being not knowledgeable. But I'm just saying, until there's facts on paper and proof of anything, it's allegedly these things happened, right?
Right.
Allegedly they happened.
Right.
Yes.
And so what I find more than anything is a court of public opinion. more than anything. So until there are facts that are indisputable facts that these things happen, I sort of have to reserve judgment, which has always been the way I've acted on things. Like I see there's stuff about just any of us. This happened, and if I believed everything I heard or read about,
All that shit about me is true, Gina.
well,
I only touched his ass because he was asking for it.
I'm saying, so,
what he was wearing.
You saw how he was
Right.
dressed.
So,
Marissa.
if I wearing those tight Levi's,
right. If I would have pursued my other option in life, if I would have done it, would have been to be an attorney.
All right, so
and I just
now-
think until you have, fact,
Right.
everything is conjecture, hearsay, bullshit.
Okay.
Until you have it.
Okay, so
right.
that's great, taking fact. But, or however, people in this country, as society, culture,
Yeah.
they don't roll like that.
No, they don't.
If it's popular, it's a popular belief.
It's Twitter court.
It happened.
It's bullshit.
But
Live some lives, people, and
but-
get off
yeah,
freaking
but-
Facebook and Twitter.
But that's not
That's
gonna happen.
America,
Right,
though.
I know.
That's
it's,
not
it's
gonna-
a,
that's
and
not
it's
gonna
a
happen.
sad state of affairs.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. So it's one of those things that if it's a popular thought or popular gossip, whatever,
Right.
it happened. And so that's the hard part,
Right.
where like even a court of law, like even OJ. So in one court he was acquitted, so that didn't happen. You know what I mean?
If
Right.
the glove does
So-
not fit,
Right. But then in the civil court,
That was a messed up glove.
but in the civil court he
Right.
was found guilty. So which one do you believe? Because in the court of law, and I'm putting in quotations, court of law,
He
one
was
says
both.
it didn't happen, and the other one says it did happen. So
And you
I
used
see
the
your
right
point.
word,
Yeah.
Gina. It's allegations, and that is what we have against this representative in Kentucky. The Republican Party is calling on the GOP state lawmaker to resign following allegations he molested a 17-year-old girl. Now, the thing about it is, it's an allegation, but we have to start discussing why is it that all of these people are doing this? How do we prevent the molestation of our young people? How do we prevent this? The allegation for the individual, you are right. And until it's in a court of law, until you come up with the picture of him with his hand on a 17-year-old girl's titty, that's what was swung the White House this week. They had to see the picture of the woman with the black eye, otherwise they weren't going to believe him.
Yeah.
But the thing
right,
is,
like that couldn't have been doctored. With all due respect, we don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. Like I'm
she never burnt the turkey pot pie again.
Right. I mean, I don't. I'm not saying. I'm not trying to. I didn't see it. Honestly, I didn't. See it.
I think what's important is talking about why these people are doing it. Why are these holy rollers and holier than thou evangelicals being caught fucking people on their desks?
Yeah.
And,
Come on, let's go back to the '80s. What was that? Jessica, what's her face, and the other Reverend guy,
Jessica
Hahn,
yeah.
and that guy,
Yeah.
and that whole thing. I mean,
was
this
just-
is not news, really.
it's
It's
not-
just bigger news because there's a bigger format.
I think it's
for
big.
it.
I think it's
not-
bigger gossip. Really.
It's not new, and what happens is social media has these things spreading so quickly that
Yeah.
we don't even have time to absorb it before the next scandal comes along.
Right.
But we have to start discussing how to prevent this.
But I also think, like, to your point, like these kind of scandals have always happened. People have always talked about these things. But the difference is that I feel like people are trying to change the culture, and that feminism is trying to move forward, and that now, like, people are just saying, well, it's not okay anymore. Like, that's the difference. Is like back then it's like, yeah, like he's a reverend, he had an affair, but like now people are like, well, you can't be in public life being a reverend saying that, gays can't get married and women can't have abortions and you can't get divorced, but then now you're also having an affair. I think people are trying to set a standard of what is it acceptable for people that are telling us what we should do in our lives, but they're not doing it themselves. And we've kind of always lived in a society where it's do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
But now I think we're trying to say, well, if you want to be treated like we should be listening to you as a population, that you are this monocle of righteousness, then now you need to leave that pure life that you're saying. and they're not. And I think that that's the thing as well, is that, yeah, like, let's just take Aziz Ansari, for instance.
Oh, my God.
Okay. Now,
What?
that was...
Yeah.
Here's,
Oh my God.
all right. Well, we could go there, but ye who is
Rhonda's
without
face.
sin cast the first stone.
I
Ye
am
who
so
is.
upset with the woman who wrote that blog.
Oh,
It's like,
Yeah.
it's like,
I am so upset.
you had a bad date. If he was such a shitty guy, why are you sucking his dick? Should be something that you do for a good date. That's like a great date. Like I
Right.
need to feel like I'm Cinderella and I'm 5 minutes from pumpkin time and I need to like thank you. But like if you're just like, oh well, he
thank
had
you.
power over me and so I had to do it because he had power over me. He's not your boss. Like you're not even in comedy. Like he's not a producer on a show that you work at. You're not trying to pitch him a show. Like literally, he's some dude you met at a party and then you went on this date and he was being a dick.
Some dude you met and went after at a party.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and I have
Yes.
something to add.
And
Yeah,
you
after.
were with someone when you went after him and gave him your number. And you were upset about the kind of wine that he gave you, yet
No
you
one
drank
drinks
anyway.
red wine with oysters.
And
Really?
and you
Yeah,
watched
only one.
Seinfeld with him.
You know,
Yeah,
I-
so I think the person who wrote that blog made a big mistake.
Well, I'm going to speak for myself, okay? I've been in comedy 20 years, right, on and off, and there have been, one of the things, like, I have always said, and I've been quoted as saying, that's inappropriate, but we've always had a
I'm
sense
sorry, Gina, I couldn't help
of, that's
myself.
okay, it's all right. Put your pants back on.
Do I have to?
Come on now. We're in the confines of this lovely podcast studio. Now, I have been in a situation personally where a comedian exposed his nether regions to me, right? While I was literally at the computer in my office and I heard, "Hey, you want to see it?" Now, I'm not going to name names because I'm not a tattletale and I'm not a big baby. And, and it's not like I'm a grown up, right? So here's what I'm going to say after I tell you this story really quickly. So I saw and I was like, hey, not bad. That's the extent. That doesn't require me to come out 20 years later and go, I saw so-and-so's, that's inappropriate. It's an office setting. Right. I'm like, okay, all right, whatever. That's a dick. Who cares? Right? I didn't get all offended by it.
You're a
It
nicer
really
woman
depends.
than I am, Gina.
It really
I
depends.
point and laugh. That's what I
Right,
I
but
am.
that's my point. It depends. Here's the opinion, the court of public opinion depends on whether or not you find it an offense.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have necessarily, with Louis C.K., let's say, gone to the room and let's say I would have been like, gross, and walked out.
Right, right.
Like it just depends. And I'm not
Yeah.
putting those women down. It just depends on what you can take. Back in my day, 100 years ago, we weren't so like, but that may also have to do with my lack of self-esteem. Let's be honest. It may also have something to do with that.
Time for the truth, ladies and gentlemen.
But that's okay because I don't feel the necessity of fucking up that guy's life and family and kids because I saw his dick one time.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
But I also feel like
Damn.
that like is
Yeah.
and I'm sure like this was not like 2 months ago. This was probably like years ago when that happened. Or it might have been
hour
2
ago.
months ago.
I'm saying, like, if you have something to say
Yesterday.
it in the moment that it happened.
Right.
But, like, at this point, many people could have changed their lives, their attitudes, their situations, and the can of worms that.
Oh, I got a great story.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got a great story, and I was telling a friend because someone's asking.
Who whipped it out to you, Wally?
What you say? Who whipped it out? No, I'm gonna tell you the story. And I'm really being revealing right now, but I think this is probably cathartic. Whatever. Okay, so someone asked me, he goes, "Oh, Wally, is somebody who, someone's gonna come on you?" And I was like, "Nah, man, I'm not that guy, However, when I was in college, I had a friend of mine who I just emulated. Like everything he did, I'm like, I want to be like him. He would get all the women. They're like, "How do you do it?" Da, 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 da. And so then,
Quaaludes.
No, no. One time we were talking, and he said to me, he goes, "Listen, see, women don't know what they want. You got to tell them what they want." I'm like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, you got to tell them, like, you know, because they want the sex, but you got to show them that you got to take that sex because then they know that's what they." I'm like, "Really? That's how it works?" He goes, "Yeah, that's how it works." Now, see, I'm understanding that's how women work, and I'm listening to him, right? So now I'm with this girl, and I start forcing myself on her, right? And she's like, "Get off me!" He's like, "No, this is what you need," you know, and right. And she starts crying and whatnot, and I'm like, but then I stop. I'm like, well, this is not how it's supposed to go. You're not supposed to be crying.
Supposed to be crying.
Yeah, you know.
There's no crying in baseball.
Yeah, right. and not in this situation.
Or going to first base.
So right, and so then I was like, well, wait, I don't want to. So I stopped, and it was like this. Of course, obviously, this weird, like, you know, she was half naked, I was fully clothed, you know, and I'm like,
Wait, what's up with that?
that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. I stopped, and then I was like, that's not what you do, you know, in that moment. And of course she was upset, and you know, I remember her kicking me in my side and said, "Get out," and I'm like, yeah, all right. But I remember walking back to my dorm saying, that's not, you know, and I remember that it was just that crazy kind of paradigm because he was telling me, this guy that he was my idol. And he said to me, this is how you handle women. So I did that because I saw him with all these women. But then in the actual moment, I'm like, no, that's not how you handle women, you know? And so it took me a second of that walk back to my dorm, like, no, you don't know. It doesn't. So I'm saying is that it's one of those things where you have to decide on yourself, saying, as a guy or whatever, even a woman, saying that, you know what, this is too far. This is not consent. This is not how it's supposed to be.
Well,
you know?
I've had like a situation kind of not exactly the same, but like I was dating this guy, like I was with him, we were like, we'd gone away for a weekend, like out of the Hamptons or whatever, and you know, we had been out all day, like barbecuing, like drinking, blah blah blah, and then we were like fooling around, and when we got back to the hotel, but we had been like up the entire day in the sun, whatever, and like we were like hooking up, and then like while like I'm on top of him, I realized he had fallen asleep, and like he's asleep in me, and like
wow,
and, like,
And not in a good way,
yeah.
ladies and
Wow.
gentlemen.
And then I'm just like, oh, he's asleep, and then I'm like, hey, are you okay? Are you okay? And he's just like snored and kind of like moved his head, and I'm like, oh shit, he's asleep. And then I was just like, oh my God, am I raping him right now? I think I'm raping him. And like, and I was just like, oh my God. Like,
Right.
and I just like, and I literally like had like a panic, like how long has he been asleep? I just noticed now. I stopped the second I knew he was sleeping. Like did I rape him? Like, I don't know what
Right.
happened. Like, but it was like one of those, like, he's definitely not consenting. And so like then the next morning I was just like, listen, I'm really sorry, but like I hadn't realized that you had fallen asleep. And he's just like, oh, you should have just finished. I would have done that. And I was just like,
Whoa.
And leave you a lovely pearl necklace.
Whoa.
like, and I was just like, yeah, that's not gonna work. And he's just like, what? Like, you know, we were in the middle, and I was just like, no. And like, you know, I waited till I got home, but I was like, yeah, this isn't gonna work. Like, you
That's
know,
deep.
yeah. But it was
That's
just like
deep.
when I was like, oh. So you're one of those guys.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna fall asleep and rape me at the same time. Like,
And here's another question too. So when is it, especially in the workspace, and I remember working the 9 to 5, when is it flirting and when is it harassment? I say
That's a great
if he's a good looking, or if he's good looking, it's flirting. If some guy you do not like, it's harassment. I think there's a blurry line there.
You know, they did a great sketch on Saturday Night Live with, of all people, James Franco, where they were like, "Did anyone see that sketch?"
No.
Okay, I actually, you know, because I get it on, I'm always working, so I watched it on demand. But it was with Keenan, and he was like a security guy, and everything was like really hilarious. Like when he, you know, was basically harassing the women, and then. Like they did it like where it was acceptable with Keenan
Right.
and not acceptable with James.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Right.
So like it was like funny when it came from the security guy who was just joking.
Right.
But now it was creepy if James said, like he actually did this. And it was creepy when James said, your dress is nice.
Right. Right.
But, you know, but it is interesting whether, because if it's true, right? Like
Right.
if someone, well, I like the way that, you know, hugs your hips, right? And it's a, you know, hot girl or guy, whatever.
Right.
we're all like, yeah, we're on board. And then, but if it's the creepy dude,
Right.
you're just like, yeah, that's creepy, and that's why it's so blurry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not blurry when someone says no. That's pretty definitive.
No, no,
Right.
right. But I'm saying the one who's giving the compliment, like, the one responding to saying no, right, that ends it right there. But I'm talking about, like saying, if it's someone that you're attracted to and he says something in a flirtatious way, like the way that your dress hugs your hips. Oh, that means he likes me too. But if some dude, who's, got a booger hand on his face and he's just kind of like, hey, I like the way that you hug your hips, you're like, ugh. Same words.
I think it's different when, so in a work environment, I think it's okay to say, you look nice today. But I don't think it's okay, good looking, not good looking, for you to say, oh, I really like the way that skirt hugs your hips.
But
that's like never
either
okay.
But I think she went to the extreme. But I'm saying this,
I
the
did go to
same
the
person.
extreme.
Like,
The same person gets, the same phrase can be said by two different people. And one person would say, what is that supposed to mean? The other can be like, oh, thank you. So
Here, I'll give you a different example. So the other day, someone, I'll just say, I won't say where it happened, but let's say a server. Let's say a server at a particular place walks over to a table and says, hello, love. Did you have a chance to look at the menu? Well, who said you could call me love? Like, how far do we have to
Because
go
I
back?
say that I'm a server. I say that all the time.
Hello, love.
What
Hello,
are you ordering, love?
Right.
Hey,
I didn't say
I might
you
put my
could
hand
call
on your
me
shoulder
love.
too.
well,
There's
Freak out.
inappropriate, and then there's actionable. Inappropriate doesn't require action. That's a conversation. That's what I'm trying to get at.
right.
Something can be inappropriate. Now, inappropriate is up for grabs. That's all I'm saying. Inappropriate used to be, that's inappropriate. That's inappropriate. Now it's like, that's inappropriate. Go directly to jail.
Yeah.
Do not pass go.
I think people are just like super sensitive, and and I'll throw it out as just being like a millennial problem. But I was doing a show actually, election night, at the Creek, and that there was, as like the ballots are coming in and half of the country's turning red, this comic that's in the room turns to me and says, oh, once Trump's president, we can all grab you by the pussy now.
Oh.
Inappropriate.
I said to him, try to grab me by the pussy. Have you ever picked up your teeth with broken fingers? Inappropriate. Now we are at a zero sum. He's just looking at me like, and now,
What did I say?
right? But now this is the thing that I don't understand when women are like, well, he has so much power over me. When someone does something inappropriate to you, you can meet them at inappropriately because you're at a zero sum. This is like, this is now this is like kind of like brinkmanship at this point. If you were like at war, is that you're both playing chicken. It's like you did something inappropriate. I can do something inappropriate. We're both at a net zero because we both are being fucked up right now. But you have to sit no, you have to push back at some degree. I'm not saying set the motherfucker on fire, but I'm just saying
I have
let
matches.
him know that this is not cool. And because otherwise it's like I could have been if I had gone the other way, it's like, oh my god, I was doing this show and this guy said to me he could grab me by the pussy, and I could have gone on social media and everybody would be like, oh, he can't say that to you. I know he can't say that to me. But if I'm telling listen, you're the one in these streets right now, you're gonna have to deal with what you just did and what you just said.
There are repercussions.
There's
yes.
repercussions. You can be inappropriate, but there's repercussions to your inappropriateness. Now he's rethinking this. Now, had he actually grabbed me by the pussy, now this is a whole nother ball of wax.
Right.
But now he knows, don't take that extra step because I've already kind of laid out the foundation how this is going to work out if you try to grab me by the pussy. You know what I'm saying? It's like...
But my next question is: do you honestly believe that he'd go around after now Trump is that he's literally going to be walking around? Do you honestly believe this particular person's going to
Gina,
walk
yeah,
around?
I
and
do.
and
I
and
believe
grab
it.
people
I
by the
have
pussy?
to.
Looked them on
No,
any
I'm
show
just
set.
saying. It's like a
I
free for all.
believe
How many
it.
people have actually been grabbed by the
No, I
pussy
believe
since
that
President
there are
Trump has
people
been?
who feel
Last
like they
night.
have been given the license
just saying.
to do certain types of things,
Yeah.
You do?
not just sexually.
All right, that's fair.
But
I'm not-
also, but also to people they perceive as immigrants or people they perceive as not having the
Others.
right to be here, people they perceive as others. I think people are absorbing the license from the top to treat people in a certain way that is disrespectful. I think people are absorbing that they have the right to do that.
Well, it's never happened to me, but
know.
I know female comics that have been grabbed by the pussy on stage by a host, like during Obama. So, like, yeah, I
What?
think that yeah.
And did they say anything at the time? Like, hey, what are you doing? Did they approach it? I'm just saying, because I'll tell you what, in 95, when I was grabbed legitimately by the pussy, I didn't say anything. I'm not going to say, and I'm not going to say now who grabbed me by the pussy. Because I don't think, and this is not because I'm not part of any movement or I don't think it serves anything right now for me to say who or what.
Right.
That's me. But in the moment, if I would have had the balls,
or the
to
ovaries.
me, if I would have had the
The
balls,
ovaries.
if I would have had the balls then to say, but I guarantee, even then, nothing would have happened. Like,
right.
I'm not saying, but go ahead. Like,
All right.
no,
So
I
let's-
didn't mean to step
No,
on
no,
your
no,
toes.
yeah.
Let's put that in a different scenario. All right. Let's say it was your daughter, and she got grabbed by her pussy, and it was
Well,
10,
she'd have to come to me.
and she comes to you 10 years later and says, you know what, Ma, I have to tell you something. And you goes, you know that kid, blah blah blah. Oh, he's a great kid. Well, 10 years ago, he grabbed me by my pussy, and it hurt. What do I do?
Okay, well, I'll tell you what I did. Because when it dawned on me that I didn't take a step at the point where I was grabbed by the pussy, years later, I approached that person and I said, I approached that person directly with the ovaries and said, look, what you did X amount of years ago was completely, my favorite word, inappropriate. And since I have to see you from time to time, let's just know that we're on the same playing field. And if you ever do that to me again, there will be consequences.
Okay.
So that's, I guess, how I would advise.
Okay.
I would say go directly to the source, before you, because to me, if you go directly to the source, then that's really standing up for yourself. You
Right.
went right to the person.
Right.
And so that's how I would do it.
But
I
see,
feel
what
like
if
nip this
source
shit in the
could
bud.
Fire you though, like that's the whole.
Would you say it again?
What if the source could fire you?
Oh, I see.
What if the source is
Listen,
your boss?
this is the one thing about me as a woman in this business, and I don't know if Rhonda feels or any of you feel this. I have never done anything in this business to keep a job. I've said exactly what I've wanted to say or not wanted to say based on fear sometimes, but I've never slept my way to the top, clearly. I never, and so, it may have, whatever it is, whatever integrity that is, that I got from my dad,
Right.
I always just tried to do the best I could do. And anybody that knows me knows that. So I'm just saying I didn't take care of myself at the time. I don't know how any of you would have handled it, but that's how I handled it as an adult. I went right to the source. And if it would have meant getting fired, then I would have gotten fired, because I've literally said to people, if you don't like it, fire me.
See, that's hard. That's
Yeah.
hard. That's
Right.
very, really hard. And
Yeah.
that's your livelihood now. And
Well-
so, but see, for you, okay,
Right.
you're a rare one. You're one of those people that speaks their mind and says, "Come what may, at least I can sleep at night." But now you get those people and women who have to say, "Look, I got to eat, so I'm going to speak my mind." And I get fired, but at least I spoke my mind.
You're right.
I'm hungry.
You're
but I
right,
spoke
Wally.
my
But
mind.
look
Yeah,
at
but
the
you can also
situation
sue someone.
with Uma Thurman, who was put in a position with her director and her producer. She literally said, "I do not want to be in this position. I don't want to drive this car." And it comes to find out the stunt person wasn't even on the set on the day that this whole accident happened, and she's in a car, driving a car on an open field, on an open road, and she gets in an accident after saying she did not want to
Almost
do it.
decapitated.
Yeah,
Oh, the Kill Bill thing, right?
Yeah. She was terribly hurt,
Mm-hmm.
and she had protested vehemently. And
But
they,
how did this not come out until just now? Sorry to interrupt,
Yeah,
but like,
that does disturb
Because
me. And
back
why?
to
Where
what
were
my
her?
point was that's her boss.
Yeah.
Like she has contracts and she has, money that she can't like fuck up.
But she
and
also has a union and she has lawyers and
And
she has a
management.
contract.
And where's
and like
the
why is
management
like
on this?
like if I have a contract and I'm sure somewhere in that contract, and if she had like a team that was worth their salt, if I say no to something, I say no to it, and you can't make me do it. Like I feel like
yeah, where were they?
where were
Right.
they? Like where was her team? Like where was her agent? Where was her manager? Where was her lawyer? Because if I'm like on set and I'm just like, I'm not doing this. They're like, oh, you're gonna do this, and I'm just like, oh, am I? Where's my lawyer? Like,
Yeah,
But
Barry
see-
Katz, where are you?
yeah.
That was just for Wally. That was for Wally. Barry, I'm not doing that. I'm not getting in that car.
Hey man, it's not gonna happen.
Hey, man.
You're killing me, dude. You're killing me.
But everybody doesn't have that chutzpah that you two
Yeah.
are talking about. It's
Yeah.
like not the same.
Right.
Like sometimes it's like, no, I'm not gonna do it. No, I'm not gonna do it. Hey, Ronnie, get in the
didn't
car.
even
Yeah.
Ronnie, get in the
Like,
car.
I didn't
Then
have
you
the
just get in the
chutzpah
car.
20 years ago. Honestly, it took some time.
Exactly.
So my mouth
so
stayed
20
closed.
years
Wait,
ago,
Uma
you.
But that
Thurman was
doesn't
a
mean-
grown ass woman. With that.
Yes, man.
right. That,
Cat out the bag. Oh
Right.
no, it was a grown ass woman when that happened.
Right. That had already had signed contracts for this movie and probably gotten paid partially up front and then waiting for the rest of the money for after she gets done with the film. You know, there's a lot of stuff that kind of goes into that like world
Yeah,
to where you might end up getting into this car.
Yeah, and so I think she had to make that decision right then and there too.
Yeah, and it's not like you're right there on set right now. We're filming.
Go.
Do it.
Wait a minute.
Sorry, guys. I gotta go to the bathroom. Like I had like a really bad taco.
But see, you can. you-
Hello.
but-
Where
but
the
see,
fuck are you
but
guys?
he was
Get me off
saying-
of this set.
But Ronnie's saying the same exact point. You guys have chutzpah. You guys know enough. But here you are in this moment with this, multi-million-dollar movie. You got a
Yeah.
studio, saying, "Look,
You're
you're doing."
carrying it.
Yeah,
You're carrying it. You're the
so
lead.
now you gotta make the decision right then and there. Are you gonna be that jerk to be like whole production? You know what I mean? I'm not saying you would or whatever, but I'm saying that's the
Yeah,
questions
that's-
that you.
I would
Yeah, that's
hold
when you
everything.
Christian
But you
bail
guys
out.
would
That's
do
when you go, hey man, you're walking on the set, man. What are you doing? You're fucking up my whole scene.
But see, that's what you
Whatever.
guys-
That's not even the right accent.
It's easy to say that. It's easy to say that.
I know I'm fucking around.
It's
I
easy
like
to say
Christian
that,
Bale
but
a lot.
like I'm saying, it's a lot tougher. You're in that situation, and it's like make a decision right now. And I'm sure you try to calculate it, like, oh my god, I got all this pressure. You know what?
Right. It's
I'll
not
do
like
it.
just
I
you.
don't
There's
know.
like all these people on set looking at you.
Yeah, and she's not
like,
the only one that's done something like that. There's probably male actors too who are in situations
No,
like
but
that.
I mean I get it, but like I'll also kind of go back to like even when I was in like my early 20s and I was working in an office environment and like I had just gotten promoted and my direct supervisor was training me and he's talking to me, and as he's talking to me he puts his hand like on my thigh as he's talking to me, and like we're like at my keyboard and I feel his hand on my thigh and I just like stop typing and I looked at him and I looked down at his hand and I looked back at him and I just was just like
No, if you should see her face.
and
And
Like,
the
yeah.
RCA Victor dog face, ladies
Like-
and gentlemen.
it's like
Oh, that's
Right,
true,
and you know what I
You gotta
heard? 'Cause I'm
narrate-
such
you gotta narrate the face.
I'm such a male
What, Marissa?
comedian. I was like, bow, chicka, bow,
I was like, I like motherfucker. I wish you would.
and
Right.
and so like I just kind of tilted my head sideways and I gave him side eye and he moved his hand and then I went back to typing and I didn't say anything. He's never like he didn't do it again. Like there was no conversation, but it was simply like
a moment.
there was a moment that like he thought he was gonna cross that line. I'm just like this line's not getting crossed, and he's like okay, like and that was it.
But once again,
Chutzpah, I get it, but everyone needs to grow a pair.
yeah, I mean
Just
that's
grow a
kind
pair.
of like the mantra of everyone to grow a pair and stand up for yourself. But there are a lot of people on this planet that can't do that.
They can't, and I don't know.
Because they're afraid of the consequences of that decision.
I kind of blame our generation, and I'm a little confused by it. Like I don't have kids. You don't have kids, but like there's a generation now that like can't that want that speak out, and then there's a generation that that can't differentiate a little bit of what to really speak out about. I mean, maybe I'm confusing like the themes a little bit, but there's again like when it goes back to appropriate versus like listen, let's go. I just basically, I'll just be honest. I was raped at 8 years old, right?
That's horrific.
That's horrific. But I was 8. That's rape. That is
Right.
rape.
No question.
Then there's moments like you describe with the person touching you inappropriately. Then there are things, and with all due respect, that people sign up for. They put themselves, and I say this in AA, you put yourself in a position that later, put you in a position to be hurt. And that
Right.
has to do with choices some men and women make, in their lives.
Right.
Right? I've made decisions based on what happened to me at 8, probably up until the time I was 42 years old, and I'm only 43 now. But I'm saying that, like, it's about educating people on what is, because we're taking away, and this goes to the vagina monologues, because now I'm going to plug, but we're taking away legitimate things that are happening to women sometimes by diluting it with some of the Aziz Ansari
Which
shit.
was horrible.
Right,
Really,
so,
it was
like-
muddying the water.
Right, like,
Right.
And not helping anyone.
Right. There are things that are happening in the workplace that are heinous things, right? But they can be handled. They can be handled now, and the dialogue is open for that. But it's just like, it goes back to the earlier thing. How far is it going to go? Because sometimes, like, I honestly, and I'm not trying to, I am pro man. Like, I love fucking men, so I don't want to hear how it's every fucking guy's fault. Forgive me, it isn't every guy's fault.
Yeah.
It isn't.
Yeah, I agree.
That's all I have to say. It's not every guy. There are a lot of men that are fucked up. There are.
Yeah.
But it's not every guy's fault.
Right.
Okay, that's it.
But I know, and I kind of think that you make a valid point about the fact that, like, especially in some of these situations when not when we're talking about like an Aziz situation, although like I think you can throw it in there, but like in some of these cases when you're talking about Cosby and you're talking about Harvey Weinstein, that there were some of these women that went to the hotel, went to the house, kind of knew something was up and went anywhere because they thought that they were going to get something out of it. They thought it was going to help their career. Kind of to your point when you said that you didn't fuck your way to the top. Some people thought that they could fuck their way to the top, but then
Some did too.
and
some did.
some did fuck their way to the top. But now that it's 20 years later, and like now that people are saying #MeToo, now it's like, oh well, I can jump on the victim train and like, oh yeah, well yes, I went to his hotel, and yes, I knew he was married, and yes, it was midnight, and yes, we'd been doing coke for 4 hours, but he shouldn't touch my breasts. Like, it's just kind of like there's a difference between like, and there were some cases where I had read, allegedly that Harvey Weinstein broke into someone's apartment and physically abused and raped her and physically assaulted her. There's a difference between that woman and a difference between a woman that said, oh, yes, I went to his hotel room. We did a couple of lines. We were drinking, and then he did something.
See, this is a slippery slope, because if I was an attorney, I'd be like, look, just because the circumstances came up where she was dressed a certain way or this happened or she did X, it's still no means no, blah, blah, blah. But I will say, I know, because I'm a woman, that, I like to look a certain way, right? Certain times that I know I look provocative.
You are an Instagram hottie.
Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you.
Instagram model.
So I know that I'm going to gain a certain amount of attention, and I'm not. Are we forgetting that we are animals? I mean, is that like? Are we forgetting that we're fucking animals? A man is a man. I'm not saying again. And God, I want a man to be a man.
Right.
For fuck's sake. I mean, I don't want to emasculate every guy. Like, I do want them to, like, be a little aggressive. Jesus, that's what I like about them.
Right.
But see, but that's,
a little bit of that.
And
Jesus.
that's what drives me crazy.
It makes
because
me
then-
crazy.
But nothing else that drives me crazy, because then, of course, like women, okay, and this is where it gets like, what? Yes, you dress a certain way to get a certain amount of attention. But then they say, well, I can wear just anything I want to wear because, I just want to wear this because just my breasts are hanging out. This doesn't mean you have to look that way. And so then it's like, so what are you supposed to do?
There is a great monologue in the Vagina Monologues that, but this is my point,
Right.
about a short skirt.
And we're going to wrap it up after
right,
Gina.
About a short skirt, right? And the short skirt isn't designed for your thing. It is about being able to wear it, to feel good in it. It's about awareness, right? It's just about men not taking advantage of that to the extent that, she's dressed this way because of that. We do want to look good, and it's
But you do want to get approached too.
listen, I miss construction workers saying, "Hey, you
That's
you
what
want
I'm
a piece
saying,
of
man.
this?"
We need
But
another,
I'm
we need another
also
hour.
saying
Not that
there's
I ever
a-
wanted it.
I want another hour. I'm not done.
Yeah, okay.
But like, and I agree with you. But there is a difference between wearing a provocative dress to dinner, and just having dinner and not being like raped on your way to the car by your date. And there's a difference
Yeah.
between that dinner and drinks, then
Agreed.
going to a hotel room and maybe having suggestive conversation, and then 20 years later saying, "Oh, you know something? I was drunk that night. He shouldn't have touched me." Like I think there's a difference.
Yes.
But like I said, I'm sorry, but we are gonna have to wrap this up, and I feel like I'm gonna have to get the three of you back again so that we can continue this conversation because
Absolutely, we had stuff
Dope
to
Yeah, wow.
City.
talk about.
I know, right?
Wow,
You
yeah.
guys are Dope
we didn't
City.
get to any other topic.
But
Yeah, all those
before
comics who masturbated in front of me did nothing for my career.
Wow.
ridiculous, but you've got beautiful skin still. So
Lovely.
Wonder why.
Facials.
but
Jeez
look, okay.
Louise.
So before we go though, just where everyone can follow you on social media, what projects are you working on next? I'm going to start with Wally and go around. Wally Collins.
All right, so it's WALI Collins, Facebook, Twitter, the Holy Trinity, Instagram. Please come to my show March 13th at the Gotham Comedy Club. It's called the Wally Collins Comedy Cup. It's a lot of fun, I promise you. It's so much fun. Everyone that comes to the show, even the comics that have not done the show, they go, "I want to do it again." It's a lot of fun. It's called the Wally Collins Comedy Cup, March 13th at the Gotham Comedy Club,
And what time is the show?
8:00.
There you go. Rhonda Hanson.
Oh, yeah. I'm Rhonda Handsome. That's like a handsome man without the D. Make up your own dick joke. Follow me on Facebook, Rhonda Handsome Comedy. Please, I want to get my social media numbers up to the Monique turned down Netflix money level, okay? Rhonda Handsome on Twitter. And I will be at 53 Above Broadway doing Groovin' on a Sunday afternoon on February 25th. Come out. We're honoring women writers, and I'm going to be doing a song written by Mickey Grant. And thank you. Thank you so
Awesome.
much for having me
No,
here.
thanks for doing it. Gina Savage.
Okay, hi. So I'm Gina Savage, and and we are doing. I'm the booker of West Side Comedy Club. We book a lot of women, by the way. So hats off to me. Hats off.
Hats
off.
Hats off.
Hands
That's
off.
Hands off.
Hands
Hands
off. That's
off.
inappropriate.
That's a new hashtag.
Taking
Hands
my
off
bra
and
off.
wait, hats off and hats. I don't even know what I'm
Hats
talking about.
on, hands off.
Bras
That's
off,
it.
ladies.
All right, so West Side Comedy Club, we're doing the Vagina Monologues on February 13th and 14th at 7 p.m. And then we're doing a Cupid's Arrow comedy show after that, and it's mostly women. Hosted Valentine's Day with Jamie Roberts that night. And you can find me Savage in the City on Twitter, and you can follow West Side Comedy Club New York City on Twitter as well. And that's it.
Awesome. This is Big Talking Brewskis, and we will be right back. Hey guys, this is Big Talking Brewskis. We are back. We are back with Teresa and Doug Wyckoff, you guys. Woo woo! The Wyckoffs in the building. Teresa, how was your week?
It's raining, but other than that, it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been pouring for days.
Yeah, it's been really poury, but New York's great because you cannot leave your house for like 5 days, and it's totally fine.
Completely cool.
Yeah.
Everything delivers.
Laundry,
everything.
food, groceries. It's like the best, most expensive place you can be a shut-in. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But it was fun. We actually ran into different comedians just on the street in our neighborhood and went with them to shows. It was very
cool.
serendipitous week.
What's your neighborhood?
East Village.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Of course, you're gonna run into some comics.
I know,
Yeah.
it's creepy.
We pay a lot for a little.
Yeah.
It's so
Welcome
true.
to New York.
It's
Probably like the
convenient.
size of a postage stamp.
Yeah. We're the oldest people in our apartment building by far. Like, they're all 12. None of them work, and they're all like 12 years old.
So, Doug, how was your week?
Excellent. I had a really good week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woke up alive. So at this age, it's just a benefit.
You can't
Yeah.
see, but he's very old.
Yeah, you can't.
I'm still here.
Well, compared to everybody on the New York comedy scene, I'm like their father.
Yeah, it's true.
So we've actually kind of taken that role. We're more like the parents of
Parents, yeah.
everybody. Yeah. So if they have problems, they come to us. Like, we can't find
No
comedians
one's-
to book, and we're like, we don't know what to tell you.
No one's ever,
We don't know anybody.
Yeah.
no
Wish I
one's
could help
ever
you.
come to us for any sort of problem.
Yeah.
No, ever.
But we would help them if they did. That's what we're.
You need advice
Yeah.
about
Saying.
love, relationships.
Right. I mean,
Shopping.
so now, how long have you guys been married?
We've been married 4.5 years and together 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
To each other, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually haven't been apart more than 24 hours twice since we started dating.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
That's
Yeah.
Some of us have attachment issues, but we're not going to name names.
Yeah. Sometimes he cries, so
Right.
I
And if
try
you're in
not
this
to.
position,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
It's like, but how am I going to fall asleep now?
Right?
So now that you guys have been, you've been married for, 4 years, you've been together for like 6 years, like Valentine's Day is approaching.
Yeah.
Do you guys like still celebrate Valentine's Day? Is it important for you?
It's
Is it
actually
overrated?
I'd like to hear what he says first.
we have never really like celebrated Valentine's Day as a romantic thing. It's always
Okay.
been a business venture because
We've always been doing shows.
our comedy has been themed towards couples, and the Valentine's is the biggest day. So we've always been able to book really good venues and shows for Valentine's Day.
Which is sad, actually, because I think in the middle of that, you could still have like a romantic moment and give
you got to
gifts.
focus on your comedy. You
but-
can't really let other
You're
things
working.
distract.
I've learned
Right.
to lower my expectations and never expect anything, and that works. It's like we do a show for people for Valentine's as they're celebrating with like roses and champagne and like presents, and I'm just on stage whining about my relationship. It's a
It's a
happy
beautiful
holiday.
And then
thing.
you guys count the cover, which could be romantic, depending
is-
upon what you're
Right.
pulling in.
Sometimes
you
you
know.
can. But bam. Yeah, well, hopefully, yeah. Sometimes, not.
Like, what do you think is the most important thing to like keep a relationship alive?
For us, keeping our sense of humor about stuff, like not taking things personally or resenting things, but like not making little things a big deal. But when we laugh about it, it kind of like
It's weird because my answer was blowjobs.
well,
hey, pal, right here. It always makes everything better.
I do what I can.
In the morning, the afternoon, it doesn't matter.
Whatever. It's
Whatever.
never a bad time.
I'm game.
Wow, it's so cliche, isn't it? Like communication. He's like, blow me.
Okay.
It's
Be
simple.
like steak and BJ's.
Just
America.
feed me and blow me. You can have me.
What if I don't want you? No.
Stop blowing me.
Is that why the blowjobs have stopped? That's right. And I'm hungry right now too.
Be out of here in a week.
Signs are adding up.
No, marriage is fun. I think it can be really fun if you're like just have fun with it. Like I think it can be really serious, and like we have friends that are couples that they just fight all the time about every little thing. And I know that feeling of wanting to, like, it happens a lot. But I think that takes all the fun out of it. And then it's like, why? You know, I'd rather just be alone then. I mean,
Right.
I wouldn't. But I'm saying.
You just
You've been in
accept.
relationships like that before, where
Yeah.
it's like every little thing.
You just accept your partner for how dysfunctional they are, and
Yes,
just look
very
past
much.
it. You know,
We're both insane.
they don't flush the toilet, they don't brush their teeth. It doesn't matter. You can get past those
That's
things.
so sweet, baby.
I'm not saying you. I'm just saying people in general.
In general.
Yeah, if that was a thing.
He doesn't flush the
I
toilet.
did have
huh?
garlic tonight, but it is
And
what it
that
is.
is called payback.
For not flushing the toilet.
It's like, we'll see if you flush again. So, like, do you, I mean, I know that, like, dating in general is difficult, but, like, you two are comics. Were you both comics when you started dating?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
We had both done it for the same amount of time almost, me just a tidbit longer. I started in North Carolina. He started in Hawaii. He then went to LA for a bit, and I went to New York for a bit. And then we both moved to Maui. He was moving back to Maui, and I moved there. And we met at a comedy show. So
I headlined. She was opening for me. And,
it was a showcase, and he was on after me.
Technicalities, you guys.
But he was cute. He was a surfer at the time. It
Okay.
was about
Yeah, I used to be hot,
Yeah, no, he's still hot, and in a different, like in a more Will Ferrell way.
like a
Okay.
dad bod
Yeah.
thing now.
Oh.
But
Good thing
you-
that's come into trend because I'm really rocking that.
Before it was like you were
Killing
like a
it.
40-ish action star.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I've peaked, and now it's all downhill from here. So it's like, God, I hope this comedy works because this is more of a podcast face every day. Right?
Yeah.
But, like, did you find that it was easier to be in a relationship with a comic?
Yes, I've been in relationships with non-comedians before, and they just never got it. Like,
Right.
I
either
don't
they
see
were
how you could do it,
embarrassed for
especially
me
if you're like
or-
starting out in comedy where you have to go to open mics and you're
Mm-hmm.
you spend so much time just sitting around doing nothing and waiting to finally get on stage. And then, you know, if there's someone who's doing it with you, it's not so bad. And then you're there together. It's like you got a
You-
friend who's doing comedy with you.
And an automatic date night.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And then someone with you when you bomb, so they can like.
Like, help you
comfort
recover.
you.
Yeah.
Or just point it
Cuddle
out.
with you.
Although
Yeah,
it
that
is
was
different.
awful.
You know what I didn't like?
I'm just saying she can be mean sometimes, you guys.
The only fights we've really had have like the big fights have all been about comedy. Like
Well,
Oh,
'cause
joke,
we're-
shit.
joke theft mostly. Like, you stole my joke. You did
he
that.
does
on
that
s-
to me all the time.
No.
But see, that's the whole thing. That's the gray area. You guys are married.
Yes.
You live together. You experience the same thing. You see the
Yeah.
same shit like on TV. You're like, oh, that's funny. I'm gonna write a joke about it.
And what we do a lot, which is a problem sometimes, is we do a duo, right? And so we have jokes that we do as a duo, but then we'll also do individual. So sometimes we'll be like, oh, I'll do that joke. And he was like, I was going to do that joke. So we kind of try to tend to keep our duo jokes duo now. Otherwise, we'll both try to do the
Same
same, joke.
yeah.
Well, it's happened where we had each gotten up individually, and people are like, "You guys do so many jokes about each other. You should get on stage."
Yeah, that's how that
together.
started.
Right.
So it's just kind of like we have to choose. Like, oh, this one's so good. Do I keep it or do we do it?
Do it together.
share it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but duo is interesting because it's fun, but at the same time, if one person's like not on that night and one person is, you can kind of help each other. But then afterwards, it's like that. Like, okay, that's when we.
That's
fight.
when the fight
Yeah.
happens. You know you were not on.
Yeah, like were you awake?
Mostly if you're humbled and you're just like, you carried it. I'm sorry, I was awful. I don't know. And it's just some nights are like that. So
It's usually like when we've been doing like a bunch of casinos in a row, when it's like pulling the life and sucking your soul out.
the
yeah.
life sucking
Oh.
gigs
Yeah.
they pay. Yeah, those
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
That's kind of like an office job. Like,
Yeah.
Slow death torture. Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
exactly. But at least you guys, your cubicle is the stage, and you get at least a drink ticket.
Yeah. Right. Woohoo. And then one of us gets both.
Yeah. And one of you is not. I'll figure that out someday. I'm gonna let it go for tonight. So like, how long do you think it takes to get good at stand up?
You know, it's interesting. I've been doing it for 8 years, and I feel like every year that I have like another level where I'm just like, oh, I wish I was there. You know what I mean? So it's like I feel like it always keeps like the bar keeps going ahead of me. But I think it just depends. I've seen people that have been doing it for like 2 years that are amazing, which is really annoying. And then people who've been doing it for 10 years and then start to get in the vibe, you know, or 15 or even 20. Yeah. So I think it just depends on your journey. As a comedian, I think it helps if you have life experience. So you're not just joking about stand-up comedy. Like you have a life outside of stand-up, or you've lived a life.
Well, I think the human experience is pretty much, it's been explained that it's 10 years, 10,000 hours or whatever it is. And I would compare doing stand-up comedy. It's like, oh, I'm going to go out and do it. I'm going to be great. And everyone has these expectations that they're just going to be the next Jerry Seinfeld in a week. And you know, you don't learn a language in a week. You don't learn to play the guitar and get up with John Mayer and sing in a week. I mean, that's what the level of what you're trying. You could do it, but most people could not.
I actually moved to New York the first time after doing stand-up for 3 months. I was at a comedy club, which is a great comedy club in North Carolina, but I was the only girl at the time, and all my friends would come to all my shows, all the open mic shows.
Right.
And basically everyone was so complimentary, and I killed with all my friends. I thought I was amazing. So I moved to New York to become a star after doing comedy for 3 months.
When they say you were funny and your dress was really nice, you know that it may not just be...
It was an awkward situation. I had a lot of weird dating things there. But anyway, when I came to New York, I was like, I'm going to be a star. And I very quickly got humbled, like extremely fast. People were like, why did you move here for comedy?
Well, they would ask you, how long you've been doing comedy?
Yeah. And at first,
3 months.
I know. And they'd be
so
like,
you'd
you're
never
crazy.
say that, right?
Well, I did initially, and people would make fun of me. So then I was like, I don't know, like 4 years. And then they're like, why aren't you better than you are? So then I moved away. I was like, oh, come back someday.
It's like, because you started here.
I was going to say, I'm pretty fresh still. Like, this is like maybe my, like 2.5 years I've been doing comedy.
I feel like 2.5 years in New York is like 5 years somewhere else.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Thanks. That makes me feel a lot
Well,
better.
Oh, for sure.
You're already playing in the minor leagues. You're not. This isn't rec ball.
Yeah, this is not rec ball.
No, this is minor leagues right out of the chute, and then it's straight into pros. So if you can hack it here, you're a whole couple years ahead of everybody else who's trying to get here and do it.
Yeah,
but then again, I still see people that have been in the game for like 10 years, and there's just some people that just get up there and like they don't have any material and they just pick something and just go. And I'm like, fuck. I got a long way.
Self-awareness is very key in this business, because when do you finally realize you're like, shit, I am not gonna be able to do this. I mean, I thought I was funny, but
right.
It's a constant question, though.
Yeah,
isn't it?
that's very valid.
Question.
It's a very valid point, because, like, you know, if you were playing athletics, it's like you get to a certain age, you get a couple of injuries, and you're like, I can't play anymore. And you know definitively, like, you know, like this is, you know, curtains. But like with comedy, it's kind of like you never really know. And then there's like kind of like going back to your point of the 10 years, 10,000 hours. Some people hit 10,000 hours before they hit 10 years. Some people hit 20 years before they hit 10,000 hours. So it's kind of like you never really know, like when is it time to just tap out?
Right. I mean,
even though I feel like right now, like at the point that I'm at, like, I wouldn't want to tap out. Like comedy, I love getting on stage and I love doing comedy.
Oh yeah, that's great.
And it's like, I couldn't see myself like not doing that. Even if I was just like doing like a small 5-person room, like I would still want to do it.
Well, that's a good sign. Like, I think if
you've
got to
have
quit,
that. You got to have that to want to keep doing this, because it gets really hard at times where you're like, you know, I've learned enough. I've done enough. Is this the path I want to keep doing? And you bomb a show and you're like, you know what? Just I want to quit. And then the next time you go out and all of a sudden you just hit and you're like, okay, the comedy gods say I should do this. I mean, I'm really good if I focused and quit smoking so much weed.
Right?
Maybe.
Yeah, I do think that, like, New York, it's like you can hit 10,000 hours so much faster. And if you can quit stand-up, you should. Like, I think that's a sign. Like, if it's something you could easily walk away from, then you shouldn't do it, because I think you have to have that in you. Otherwise, it's too brutal.
Yeah.
You know, if you can walk away, walk away. And I think people do sometimes for a little bit. And then, like, I've done that before. Well, I've walked away for like 6 months, and then I was like, I can't I have to do it, otherwise I'll like.
I've taken like
Yeah.
a year, like almost 2 years off.
Really?
Like, yeah, because
Wow.
like, I was in an accident, and so like I had like a lot of physical therapy, and I had surgeries and stuff like that. So like I had taken some time off, and so like I kind of feel like those are like, I don't count that towards the time that I've been doing it. Like, you know what I mean? But like also when I first started, I was doing like 4 shows a year. So like I also kind of feel like my early years I don't particularly really count because I wasn't doing it on like a regular basis. But I do kind of feel like, you know, like every week, like it's just kind of like, what the fuck am I doing? Like my friends are married, they're having children, like, you know, it's like I don't have a boyfriend. Like
I got
next
big
week
talking brewskis.
next week is this week is Valentine's Day, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
be like crying in my own like Roha in my living room, like watching like Love Actually. But like, you know, it's just kind of like
Wow, that's really. Let's take a
it's very
moment. And just
specific.
I was like.
somebody's got
single
plans.
since-
What are you worried about? I mean, come on.
I was like super single until I was how long? When did we get
42.
No, until I was like 35, 30,
Three.
something like that. 35, I think. I was super single. So like I had boyfriends, but for a short amount of times. And I swear most of my life I would watch Bridget Jones' Diary on Valentine's and just cry.
Yeah,
too.
And eat
yeah.
a lot, lasagna by myself, like a whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My go-to is cheesecake.
Cheesecake.
You had
yeah.
me at lasagna.
Yeah.
Yeah,
lasagna.
cheesecake's
Ooh.
great.
Yeah.
Cheesecake
love-
and lasagna.
Oh yeah.
Fuck.
Why aren't you married? I mean, come on.
It's like, I mean, yeah, I know the best bakeries.
I know.
It's like, I know a cheesecake that will get you out of any kind of funk. Like, you know, you
Ooh.
lost a job, there's baklava cheesecake. You lost your grandma, there's a carrot cake cheesecake.
Ooh.
You know, like I know the best desserts that will get you through any hard time.
That is a very good skill to have, though. I mean,
Like,
Choosing desserts is very key.
and I can pair it with a wine.
Oh, there you go. You're like a sommelier.
ladies
Yes.
and gentlemen,
Right.
available on Tinder and Fish
Bumble,
MySpace.
OK Cupid.
MySpace.
Are you on Tinder?
Is that not a thing anymore?
Do you
I'm
swipe?
on
That's how long I've been single.
Yeah. I'm on the Tinders, I'm on the Bumbles, I'm on the OK Cupids.
What's the difference between Bumbles and Tinder?
Okay, so now Bumble, you match with someone very similarly that you would with Tinder, except for the fact that on Bumble, the woman has to message the guy first before he can talk to her.
That's interesting.
So it's like, you know, like, because like a lot of times, like I'll just be like at a mic or a gig or something like that, and I'm like swipe, because like, you know, you throw enough shit on a wall, and so then like when I start getting hits back, then I'm just like, oh yeah, that third picture, not good, not messaging him, like, you know, and so like,
So it's like fish on, and then you cut the line, fish on, cut the line.
and you have
Yeah.
to worry about them creepily
great,
send-
trying to send you a message.
and a picture of them.
Yeah.
Does that happen a lot? Do you get that?
So there's like, I know you guys are married, so you're out of the scene for
loop.
this.
Totally.
You're out of the loop
Yeah.
for this.
No idea.
The dick pic has now turned into the dick video.
Wow.
They
Yeah.
had that when I was single.
Really? You got dick videos?
Because that's how
We-
you
I-
choose a
we
man,
didn't-
isn't it? Honestly,
We
A
didn't
dick
have-
video? No.
or a dick pic. I mean, it's
Well, no,
like
she got it without asking. It just,
Yeah, I
Me
got
too.
an unsolicited dick video. It was 1 minute and 34 seconds.
What?
Wow.
That is way too long.
Did
Yeah.
you watch the whole
Did it
minute,
dance?
34 seconds?
I did. You watched it also.
Yeah, yeah.
Did it like bounce around and
Sure
dance?
did.
Yes, he made it dance.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he like, it was just like, it wasn't him like stroking it. He was like shaking it and like making it like bounce up and
Yeah.
down.
Was it
He-
big
he
enough
made
to
it
bounce
clap.
very far?
Skills.
Yeah, I mean, it was unnecessarily large.
so. How does that
Wow,
make you?
that's why he did such a long video.
Yeah.
I am so proud.
So when you get something unsolicited like that, what does it honestly do for you? Is it like you're like disgusted by it? Are you ever intrigued by it? Does it ever interest
So
you?
like, I'll look at it. But here's my thesis on it. Like if I came in here and I saw you guys, I'm like, dude, I'm like super fucking hungry. I haven't eaten all day, and you showed me a picture of a hamburger. Like, do you honestly think that you're like helping the situation? Like, no, it's like, what am I doing with this picture? Like,
In my experience, it's just some shit that you just don't want to see. Like, I'm on Grindr. It's like the gay version of Tinder.
I think it came first.
Yeah, yeah. And guys send asshole pictures all the time. Like
Really?
like literally spinster, butthole. Poppy, you want to get in this? No.
Is there
Like
that much,
balloon knot?
Is there really that
Yeah.
much? Is there
Like,
really
I
that
don't
much
wanna-
variation in a butthole though? I mean, they all kind of look the same.
Exactly. They're all the same. Like,
Is a butthole sexy?
no, I'm not turned on by that at all. I mean, but like it still gets there. Like they still like, oh yeah.
Wow.
Like regular pick, butthole pick.
See, that's one of the things that's just a bad downside of being gay is you
Yeah,
get the butthole
you get
pick
butthole
and a dick
pics.
pic.
Yeah.
And
you
dick
can
pics.
stick- Yeah.
Dick pics I enjoy, but butthole pics, it's like, come on, bro.
But like, I just
know
don't.
what? You
like,
gotta- you-
do people find buttholes sexy? I don't.
I
like,
mean,
that's
I
to me
don't. I mean, but
Somebody
apparently
must.
somebody
Yeah,
must.
'cause
Maybe the
that's the
person
thing.
taking
Every
was
other,
like,
but I got a bit about this. How hard is it to take a picture of your butthole?
they had someone
really
else do
hard.
it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Or the fact that you had somebody else do it. I don't like that either. There's like guys send pictures of like them
Hey,
having
help
sex
me.
with other guys. Like,
Really?
like, oh yeah, this is me blowing somebody.
What if someday he sends out a video of him blowing you, like to other dudes? You know what I
Oh,
mean?
we don't
Like,
do that. I'm trying to be like all on these TVs. No, we're not doing no.
It's just, you know,
But like, you wouldn't
everything will
know
be below
if
the
they
chest.
were.
No
Yeah.
headshots. That's all.
That's
Yeah.
my
This is kind of true
Because
there is,
like, you know, there's
you
people
could-
that like are sneaky and
Yeah.
just take video of doing whatever.
mm,
I mean, it's a risk you're
You
willing
know
to
what?
take. apparently.
Exactly right.
Kim Kardashian got famous off that shit.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's
But
a
her
shame
mom
thing.
orchestrated it. Like,
This
Okay,
is
I wish
true.
my mom would help me do a sex tape and get famous.
yeah. If I ever got famous, there's some pre-marriage videos out there that I'm really nervous about. Like privately, but who knows where they went? I don't know.
Right, because you don't know. Once,
don't know.
Once it goes in the video, like
The worst
It's
thing
a-
is the cloud now. I mean, you like delete shit off your phone and your computer, and all of a
everything
sudden you're
yeah.
like,
fucking
you'll be
comes
sitting
back.
at Apple and they're like downloading your new phone, and all of a sudden you're like, all these fucking nudes are
No.
coming. You're like, no.
We had all of our both of our phones. We synced. We got the Echo, Amazon Echo, and it
Okay.
synced also with our Fire thing. So all of our videos went on and pictures went on the cloud, and so it, like there's a slideshow on our big screen TV.
Ooh.
And one day I was like walking through the living room, and there was like a picture of me in a very awkward situation.
She's like, that's a giant
Bam.
vagina. That looks familiar.
I'm like, we have to clear these before anyone visits.
You can't get rid of them. They
Right.
just keep
Oh
coming
no,
back.
we've had people like dog sit for us and house sit for days.
Oh, and they're just,
No.
the shit just
Oh,
popped
God.
up.
No wonder
They're
they
just
don't
like,
come
oh,
back.
They're mad
Exactly.
open.
That's why they haven't called you
Oh.
back.
You're showing it to the wrong
Can you
people.
dog sit again?
Can you dog? Never.
We've
Or
seen
it's like,
you
oh
naked.
yeah, can't wait.
Oh my god.
What's your dog's name again? So, Doug, do you feel like we're living in the Matrix?
I do.
Like, what makes you feel that way?
I kind of read and study like the scientific stuff, like the Hadron Collider and the unified theory of trying to gather everything and electronics and scientific stuff. And there's always this, like Einstein said, this spooky action at a distance, which is like quantum entanglement. So like you could do that with atoms, and then the Hadron Collider, they've been looking at like all the smashing these atoms, and everything just comes down to like electricity pretty much.
Right.
And then people say like you don't ever really touch anything because all the electrons and atoms in your body are always just touching other things. So there's always this space that's never really there.
Right.
So therefore, it's a matrix.
Well, there are all these little factors that kind
Well,
of
it's
like
kind of like string theory and like all of like the multiple universe theory where like there's multiple versions of ourselves living in other universes at the same time. And so like, if you can kind of like factor the fact that there is probably an infinite number of universes occurring right now, there's a universe somewhere that each one of us could be the president, or there's a universe somewhere that each one of
that'd
us
be
is like,
wonderful.
you
Any
know,
of
a
us would be
serial
better.
killer, or like each one of us is like a dog or something.
or you could live like in a dump in Dubai or something.
Yeah.
I mean, or like India.
Or we all could be on Comedy Central and be major stars.
Right.
Another-
There's a universe where we're all Seinfeld.
The other
Yeah.
thing is too is if you look at computers and AI, artificial intelligence right now, And if you could like they're working on transferring your consciousness into something like a computer.
Right.
All right. So then
You'll
we're
never
only
die.
a few steps or degrees away from never dying. And then you have these supercomputers. And then who's to say all of a sudden you're bored because you never die and you just want to create, these and maybe we're living just like in a replay of actual life, but we've all downloaded our consciousness in the future. But we're like, these are our favorite moments, so we're just going to live in these moments right now. Like
Right.
before we even knew that consciousness could be transferred. All of a sudden, you live up to that moment, and then it restarts over again or something like that.
This is my day.
Right.
These are the conversations we have.
Altered carbon.
Yeah.
Watch it. That's what I'm saying.
Every time we're walking down the street and we see the same people over and over
I
again.
was just about to say
yeah,
that.
he's like, they're
'Cause-
recycling the Matrix or
The
whatever.
extras.
Right.
They keep
Yeah.
running, they're running out of
the
extras
because
today.
I feel like,
Yeah.
what are the odds? Like, we live in a
It's
city
creepy.
with like fucking 15 million people.
Right.
And I see the same motherfuckers all the
There's
time.
only like 30 people in the whole city that
Right,
you know.
like-
Come on.
Yeah.
The guy with the burnt face, it's on every fucking train. How is he on every train?
You have a burnt face person in your.
You've never seen the
Dave.
burnt face
You
guy?
don't know Dave, the burnt face
No.
guy?
What train?
Yeah, like on the 7 train and on the 6 train and on the 1 train.
Like every train, but wow.
Yeah.
My favorite is
Imagine
like when you're
at-
sitting there like at Starbucks waiting for somebody and like somebody walks by and then like 15 minutes later they walk by, come in the other direction and you're like, I've done extra work in movies and this shit is exactly the same. I don't know.
It's
Damn,
hard.
no, it's true.
It's the Matrix we live in. I hope it is because then
Or like
you know,
the
there's
people
something
that
there.
that you see all the time that you know you guys catch the same train. You never talk to this person, but you always see them
Totally.
Yeah.
at the 7:15 train that I catch every morning. They're always there.
No, it's true. And then like
creepy.
but I kind of also feel like I have those moments where like did you guys see Inception?
Yeah.
And so like you
Yes.
know like that like when like the wrong person is in your dream and then like all of like the extras start being like violent because they're just like, oh, you don't belong here or whatever. I feel like I have like those moments too where like I see someone that I see like on a regular basis, but they're always like kind of to a distance. And then like they all of a sudden we're in the same car and then like they just like push past me and they like get out of the train and I'm just like, like whose dream am I in right now? I'm not supposed to be here. Like, you know, it's just like because it's like weird because like there's this one person that I see on the train like maybe like 4 out of 5 days a week or whatever, and we never get in the same car. They're always like further down the train, and then if I can't find a seat in the normal car that I get into, like I'll walk down and then I end up in their car and like literally like the second I walk in the car like they look up at me like and I'm just
Whoa.
like oh and but we get off at the same stop and so like I'm like waiting at the door for the door to open and they like every single time like kind of like brush past me and they like look back at me like Nosferatu like and like I'm just like
Who is this angry
Oh
person?
my gosh.
it's really weird.
It's the Matrix.
It's like, but I never see them take the train home, which is weird because, like, normally, like, if you're going to the office at the same time,
you'd
like,
leave,
you're
yeah.
leaving
probably
around the
leaving
same
at the same
time
time.
and you're taking the same train. But, like, I never see them on the ride back. I only see them on the way there.
The
Does anybody
angry-
else ever have this happen though? Like where you're walking down the street and all of a sudden you feel like all the extras are like screwing up because like they're like this. It's like if you were in a movie with Brad Pitt, right? And you're an extra and you're walking by Brad Pitt and you're kind of trying to sneak a peek. You
Yeah.
ever feel like everyone's just like looking at you as
Oh
you're
my
walking down the
God.
street
Yes,
that way? You're
yes.
the
like,
Truman
what the
Show.
fuck is everyone doing?
Yeah,
Yes.
The Truman
Yes.
Show. We're like,
Yeah.
like, oh shit.
You're like everyone's
Like,
looking
Truman's
at me.
kind
What
of figuring it out. Like,
I don't know what it says
Yeah.
about my husband Doug over here that like everyone's an extra in his life and he's Brad Pitt and they're all looking at him.
It could be narcissism or the Matrix. I don't know.
I'll take that. Although they broke up, that's so sad.
Well, Angelina
is
before.
it-
Angelina pre.
right.
Yeah, is
Well,
it?
I was gonna say right
Yeah.
because he was married when they got together.
It's true.
I'm Team Angelina all the way. Fuck friggin' Jennifer. Like, she was so boring.
I mean, I agree she was boring, but still, that is a married man.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Back up.
Even though she's my free pass, I still wouldn't hit
Yeah,
that.
Jennifer Aniston's
Jennifer
lady.
Aniston's your free, right?
She
right.
was, but now she's old. And like, who
She's
wants that?
younger than
Oh,
you.
she's gonna be 50
I don't date older
in like a
women.
week. She's about to have
like
a birthday.
Women my age.
So she's the same age as you.
Yeah, I like younger women. You know that.
Your ex-wife was older than you.
That's why I like you.
Oh.
By like a month.
You're young enough. You'll
Spilling
do.
all the tea.
Wow. It's
So,
only 7 years
how about those
difference.
bears? Huh? Those aren't pillows.
That was an awkward moment.
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
So let's see here. So Teresa, like, are you like dieting or working out right now?
We're trying to. It's very frustrating. So we're going and working out.
That's a brave question to ask a woman.
No,
I
it's-
commend you for that.
No, it's pretty normal actually. I
Yeah.
feel like we're always working out and on diets and whatnot. So
That was
I can't-
also her topic.
But
so.
I can't ask that. So,
I mean, I
Teresa, you look
didn't-
like you've put on some LBs. What are you doing to take care of
Never
that?
stopped you before. You're the one that's like, are you sure you should have another portion? No.
Oh, don't paint. Do not paint me like that.
With truth, I will not paint you.
Lies, fake news.
So, yeah. So, but it's frustrating because we did this whole thing where we like pre-made all these meals for the whole month and put them in servings, but then we've actually tried to eat them and they're like not enough food for both of us. And it's like I get very hangry
So she's
and
eating
upset.
two a meal instead of one.
And then he's judging me. And so we've been working out. So I was all excited to weigh myself yesterday. And I had gained 5 pounds. And I cut out carbs, like eating super healthy.
But you're working out. So like that's the reason,
Muscle
because
weighs
muscle
more.
weighs
You're eating
more than
double.
fat.
I feel like I couldn't have gained that much muscle
That's the
in like
wives'
a week.
tale for sure. We're gonna go with that one.
No, maybe you're right.
No, like
Wait, but see,
yeah,
all the bodies
muscle-
work differently. How much weight did you lose?
He
lost
loses
I lost
weight.
like 5 pounds.
I know.
He lost the 5
she
pounds.
found
She
it.
gained it.
Yeah, it's so true. It's frustrating because I never used to have to diet. I mean, this sounds bad, but until I was like 35, 36, I had an amazing metabolism and I was too skinny. And then I had a medical thing, and now it was the opposite. I'm not used to like gaining weight anytime I eat something. And yeah, it's very frustrating. So now I'm trying to diet to be healthier again.
Like,
Not
what do you find the most frustrating, the working out or the dieting?
Both. I don't like robbing myself of food that I want to eat. I don't like any sort of like denial of things that look delicious.
Yeah.
Food is my favorite thing in the entire world.
Well,
I
see,
hear ya.
that's the whole thing. You have to start thinking of it as like, okay, sustenance. Like I have to just eat to live for like this. But then Sunday, I'm gonna treat myself, a cheat day.
I do a cheat meal.
Yeah,
like a
that's-
once
See,
a-
no,
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 I
no,
do.
no, no. That's why you gained 5 pounds.
We're on a paleo vegan diet, but what helps because it's
Paleo
mostly
vegan.
just mostly nuts and berries and lettuce. But then you have a cheat meal for the day,
Yeah, no, it's
so it's a good and then
What?
you can still-
Paleo? That's like not a thing. Like
I was
paleo
like,
is like meat.
what is
yeah,
that? Like-
paleo and vegan.
It's a new thing
is-
we're doing, you guys.
He's very
Yeah.
confused by all these like.
He's just, I don't know. When she tells me I can't eat it, I don't eat it. Like,
Paleo vegan. It's nuts and berries.
My favorite is like
And
a
dirt.
month ago.
Some lettuce.
But then you have a steak as your cheat meal.
and then we kill a rabbit. Like,
Like a month ago in the morning, he says, from now on, we should just eat all vegetarian except for a little fish. Like, what is that?
pescatarian.
Pescatarian. And I was like, okay. And then that night, he ordered a steak. I was like,
what the hell are you doing?
like we'll start
You
tomorrow.
want to
Cheat
gradually.
meal.
You got to gradually work into it. You guys don't want to jump into it.
I've
mean, you
never
could have
heard
a
of
salmon
cheat meal.
steak.
A cheat meal.
No,
I
It was my
believe in
cheat meal for the
meals.
day.
Every,
You do
every
too?
day you got a
Yes,
cheat
I
meal.
totally.
Just one.
So like I've like kind of like fought like weight like my entire life. So like the first time that I was diagnosed as being like obese, I was 3 years old. So like I've been
Whoa.
literally dieting since I was 3 years old. And so like and then like when I was in high school, like when I was 16, I was a size 16, and then like I lost weight when I got into college, and so now I fluctuate between like a size like 4 and a size 6.
That's great.
But like like
That's what I want to get back to.
the most I ever was like probably around like a 17, and so like but when I started to lose weight, like you have to like kind of look at it not so much as a diet, but as like just a way of life. Like this is just, this is my life now. But I 100% agree with you with the cheating. And so like how I still rectify it with myself is that like, let's say if, because I try to have low carbs, like I try to do like a low carb diet, but I still eat like bacon and steak and all that good shit. But like if I'm going to eat rice, I'm not gonna have bread or like a dessert or something like that. Or if I decide like I'm gonna have cake, then I'm not eating like rice or bread. So like I just kind of try to figure out like what if I'm gonna have a carb, like if I'm gonna have a potato, I'm not gonna have a potato and bread. Like, you know, I wouldn't have like home fries and toast. Like I kind of try to like balance that out. And then if I'm gonna have like a bad meat like bacon, then I'm not gonna have ham or pastrami or something like that. Like, you know, like I try to like pick like if I'm gonna have a bad thing, I can only have like one version of that bad thing. I can't have like two bad meats. I can't have two bad carbs.
That's
you know
how I eat too. Like
really,
I like, to,
you eat with me a lot.
Yeah, we eat the same way. Like we'll get burgers and you don't get the bun.
Yeah,
and then the fries is kind of like the cheat. But
instead
like,
of the bun.
Yeah,
instead
exactly.
Of
in the bun.
So let me ask you this though. Like I've kind of all into like switching what I eat, but what I'm having a hard time with is like the amount. Like because I want to eat until I'm full.
Water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to
So
like, drink water.
Drink water before you
eating.
eat.
Really?
Yeah.
Both.
Both.
So like I would drink water before you eat your meal because the water will start expanding your stomach and start making you feel full. And then if while you're eating your smaller portion, drink water while you're eating because while you're eating, like let's say if you're eating rice, like the rice and the water will also expand in your stomach, making you feel more full. Water will trick your body into thinking that you're full.
That is
also,
magical.
What time you eat.
Yeah.
If you don't eat after 9 o'clock, like your body will break down all of like the fats and everything that's like you gained during the day.
Eat earlier.
And then you go to sleep, you wake up, your body's burned out all of the calories that like you had during the day.
Also, like
like
you can
that.
eat like smaller meals spread out through the day. So like you can eat let's say like every 4 hours, but you eat like it's kind of like going to your berries and your nuts or whatever. So like maybe like you have maybe you have like a yogurt and like, you know, some like sunflower seeds, like, and then like wait like 4 hours, and then maybe you have like almonds and like cranberries, and then like wait 4 hours, and then like eat little things like broken out throughout the day so that like you're never really hungry. Because like you're always kind of eating and your body is always like processing food, so like you don't feel hungry.
Yeah, because that's what happens. You get hungry.
Full,
Oh, and I get
drink
hangry
water.
when I'm hungry.
But that's why, because you're like forcing
Yeah.
your body not to eat, and then it's like I want to eat fucking everything.
Oh, I
Yeah.
get like mad. Like yesterday, we had a situation wherein I like ate.
but you
my
don't have
half.
a blood sugar thing, right?
No.
Okay, because like
don't.
I had a friend that had a blood sugar thing, and she would slit a bitch's throat for a fucking
I
Fruit
think
Loop.
she may have that,
Like-
but she's not willing to admit it.
As far as I know, I don't
With that
have it.
description you just gave her.
No, it's like I apologize to him after I eat all the time because before it's like the things I say I feel so bad about. Like I lost.
There'll be
it
times I'll be like, you
yesterday.
need to eat. Just stop talking and eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have this
We've
one
had that.
friend that like
Yeah.
literally
You just stand there and go,
will, like,
"She needs to eat."
like no, like she'd be like, I'm
Feeder.
sorry for the things I said when I was hangry. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's just like, and I was friends with her since like high school, and like literally I've been carrying snacks with her since like with me to give to her since we were like 14.
Shut up.
Because it's just like,
That's
oh,
what
I'm
he
going
does,
out with
yeah.
this one. Like, let me have some granola bars. Like
gotta
here, just
stock
have
up to
something.
feed her.
Feed the
Yeah.
lion to
Yeah,
keep the
it's
lion
just like,
from biting.
please
him.
stop trying to kill us.
Dog treats.
Yeah, he always has like little treats and stuff with him to keep me like
Power bars, Cliff bars.
mellow.
Yeah, you gotta like if you're like and that again going back to like eating every 4 hours, like you'll constantly feel like you have like enough like energy to like get through the day, and you'll always feel like you're eating, so you won't like feel so like hangry.
I feel like you changed my life.
Like, well, that's what we try to do.
Yeah.
Eric.
Yeah.
Like, big talking Bruce.
I'm gonna have
Yeah,
little
change
more
my
meals.
Rodney Marissa.
It's not
Yeah.
just beer, you guys.
Yeah, we do life-changing stuff. Like little Oprah. So we're gonna have to start wrapping this up. But before we go, like, definitely let us know where people can follow you on social media, what projects you have coming up, what shows you have going on together, individually, and I will start with Doug.
Well, I'm so old right now. The only social media, is that what this thing is MySpace that I have.
Oh, no, he doesn't.
Okay.
You have an Instagram, Doug Wyckoff. Just Doug Wyckoff, isn't it?
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We have the He and She Show website. We have our He and She Show YouTube page.
Maybe I should do that stuff because you never remember. So we have like a sort of more official Instagram. It's at He and She Show. So that's pretty easy. Same with Facegram. That's new. That's like the new
For
kids.
the
are
new
doing.
kids,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a combo.
Facebook, The He and She Show, and our names, Teresa and Doug Wyckoff. You can just find us individually. But we do have some fun stuff coming up. All this week, I don't know when this airs. It's on right now, live. It's live right now.
We're on live.
We're live?
and-
We are
yeah.
live.
Oh,
So
shit. My mom's listening.
we're going to be at the Huron Club at the Soho Playhouse the 14th through the 17th for Valentine's Day for the first time doing the He and She Show in New York. So we haven't done that before.
Our full headline.
Yeah, and every night we have a
An hour
different
long.
feature
Oh, nice.
comedian. So the first night is
Because I
Rachel
did you
Green.
guys
Yeah.
when you were in the creek.
Yeah, and that show actually that you did was called Date Night. And
Okay.
we're back doing that again now at New York Comedy Club, the fourth Sunday of every month. So you can find all that stuff on our website, theheandshe.show.com. And you can get tickets for the Valentine's show. It's going to be great because there's special, like, open bar packages. It's a total date night situation
Oh, nice.
thing.
Yeah, and that's a
Yeah.
really fun space.
It is a fun space.
Yeah.
Last time we were there, we saw Alan Cumming.
Yes, I was with you guys.
Oh, you were? That's
Yeah.
right. You were there.
Fucking everywhere.
Did
That's
you
right,
see
we
my
still have your
implosion?
wine from the Christmas
Yeah.
show that we did
Yes.
together.
Oh, you gave us wine.
Yeah, you guys won the wine.
I won the wine for
Best
Christmas.
gift ever.
So yeah, we have that, and then February 25th is the next date night show.
Cool.
Yeah, at New York Comedy Club, and you have to be on this one since you were on the Creek. You have to be on one of our New York
No,
Comedy
I
Club
definitely
ones.
want to do it.
Yeah, you were funny.
I want to
thank
get
you.
on.
Yeah, you could get
Rob-
on too.
I'm sorry, there's a
So,
3-year requirement.
This is
You're still too fresh.
no, actually,
So
No
fresh
sometimes
from
rookies.
fucking.
sometimes the newest comedians are the best because the way our show works is you kind of just riff off of questions that the audience gives you, sex, relationship, dating questions.
Oh.
And you improvise your stand-up set based on those questions.
Like,
so
how soon is too soon for anal?
stuff
You
like
get
that
question all the time.
All the time.
How would
That's
you
like
answer
a
that?
normal, regular.
I was gonna say, how long have I known you? Maybe like
One beer.
He's
That's
like, how
enough.
good a text do you
years
send?
enough, right? Right now.
How is your grinder profile?
Let me show you a video of my anus.
All right. Should I be worried? What's happening right now? It's going to be the He and She show starting this week.
Polyamorous.
We're going a whole new way. I think I'd be left out of that situation.
She'll just be eating popcorn, like.
Oh
It's
wow! I didn't even know a butthole could do that.
Mine can't. I can tell you that right now. Mine can't do anything that.
She's like, oh, thank
not
God I'm off the hook.
Right? Seriously.
Improv is a yes and thing, but we practice a no but thing on and off. This
Yeah.
It's no but, no but.
Nothing to worry about.
But thank you so much for having us on. This has
No,
been
thank
fun.
you so
No,
much
thank
for
you for
doing
doing
it. Rodney, where can everyone see you next?
I'm gonna be hosting at the Broadway Comedy Club March 2nd. Fashionably Funny with Marissa Smith.
Ooh, she's
Yeah.
great.
I've been known to be funny now and then.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to be at the Pit on the 17th for Mothballs Comedy Show. I will be at Broadway Comedy Club on March the 2nd for Fashionably Funny, and at Otto Shrunken Head March the 10th for Merriment and Mortification. And you can catch us right here on Big Talkin' Brewskis for Big Talkin' Brewskis. And remember, you guys, he wouldn't release a Democratic memo because he knew it would make him look guilty. Have a good week. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. I'm Marissa Smith. Follow the show on Twitter at Big Talkin' Brew. Follow me on Twitter at Marissa Smith. And love yourselves. Take care of everyone else. And fuck Trump. See you later. Bye.